Hello everyone, this is Dor. Today I'm going to talk to you about boundaries, how to use them, how do they look like, and how they can work for you. So let's start. Why do we even need boundaries? Like, I was just on this beach and there was some dudes here that looked very wild, and they have this jeep that they drove on the beach, and they did like all these signs that you see down here, and they came to us and they asked me to do something. They asked me to film them, to take pictures of them, and I was kind of scared, and I said, okay, I will take your pictures. And that's a point, for example, where I could have put a boundary. I could like say like, no, I don't want to take your pictures. And the reason why we don't put boundaries is because we're scared. There is fear sometimes to put boundaries. Now imagine someone like that is coming to you and you're afraid of them. Putting boundaries might put you in risk. So a lot of times we give our centers to other people, like we give our authority about ourselves to other people to feel more safe. Now this doesn't work only on a personal level, but it also sometimes works on a global level. Like, as people, we give our authority to organizations or groups or something like that because we feel more safe. So actually the reason why we don't use boundaries, like why boundaries it's not like this natural thing that we're like, of course, boundaries, I have boundaries, I'm done. Like, boundaries, I know what I'm doing, is because of our fear to do it, to use it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit how people usually put boundaries in modern culture, how we were programmed to use boundaries, and why it doesn't really work. Let's say your friend, you have this discussion with your friend, and it doesn't work. So the boundary goes like this. You know, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you hurt my feelings. Like, every time you do this, you hurt my feelings, so stop doing this. It's like, it's all about like putting the responsibility about the other person, giving your center to the other person, saying you're sorry, and it's really not about you. So how do you use boundaries in next culture, in the culture that is after this, that in that culture you take full responsibility about yourself, your feelings, your emotion, and your environment? So how does it go? It's about yourself, so it goes like this. This is my body. You don't touch my body. This is my body. You don't touch my body. No. You use your conscious anger to do it, and you put the boundary, and then you stand there. This is my body. You don't touch my body. If you touch my body, I'm going to kick your ass. No. And you stay there and you keep the boundary. It's like if I put a boundary on the sand and I stay there. I don't put the boundary and then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, and I leave the boundary. When I put the boundary, I stand in the boundary. I'm like, no. Great. So for every boundary, this is probably some of you would think, no, but this is, isn't it too much? Like, is it too much anger to put a boundary with? So you need your conscious anger, but you can also, with conscious anger, you can control how much anger you want to put. If your friend needs to hear about it in 10% conscious anger, so you can be like, this is my house. You don't trash my house. So if you keep trashing my house, you need to go. You can't stay here. Maybe that's the level of anger that you need to use. Or maybe if it's someone physically attacking you, there's like I don't know, someone trying to physically assault you, you're like, you need like 80 or 100% of your conscious anger. You're like, no, this is my body, you don't touch me. So here's the side story. I discovered a lot of my time, in my time I used to get into fights and I used to freeze because I was trying to protect myself, or or to take a stand for something that is important for me, but I used to freeze. Why I used to freeze? Because I didn't have this conscious anger. So my flight or flight mechanism kicked in, so the fear kicked in, and I couldn't hold the fear. So I didn't have anger to hold the fear, so I couldn't use my I couldn't put my boundaries. I couldn't take a stand for myself. So which is a kind of boundary. Like if someone is attacking your body, the boundary is like, you don't touch my body. In every way, like even for women, if women get sexually assaulted every day, they get raped, and it's like, this is about this. It's about you learning to use your conscious anger in every level you need to be like, even it's 100%, like no, and then you can fight. Then all the martial arts and stuff like this, self-defense kicks in. But first you need to know how to use your conscious anger about this. So maybe you need to use a little bit of anger, but there's another thing here. Maybe you need to use a distinction. So sometimes you don't need to put a boundary with someone. Sometimes you can use a distinction. Examples, a boundary would be, don't make fun of me. Next time you make fun of me, you go away. And a distinction could be, you can make fun of me, but not when I wake up. Make fun of me only in the evening, we can laugh together, and that works for me. So there's a distinction between putting a boundary and using a distinction. It depends what you need it for. Now, if you notice, the way the boundary works is, I say that it's about me. It's not about the other person. It's not, you're hurting my feelings, you're doing this. It's not about this. It's what I don't want. Like, this is my space. In my space, I am here. You don't ignore me in my space. I had a client that what the boundary needed to happen, like she agreed to work with a certain person, but it didn't put her in the description of the event. So and instead of putting a boundary and telling them, she went into this all these ways of taking revenge on them, and she played this drama with herself, like all day, like thinking in her head, like they're so horrible, I can't trust people anymore. And the reason why we can't trust people is because we don't know how to set boundaries. And the way she could do it is like, I am here. I'm not to be ignored. I'm in this space. If you want me to work with you, you put my name in that thing. If not, I'm not going to work with you. So here's the boundary, the right amount of anger used, and there is a consequence. So the most important part of setting a boundary is there is a consequence to the boundary. You don't just put boundary and you don't say what happened. It's not like you're just saying, this is my body, you don't touch my body. It's like, if you touch my body, I kick your ass. If you keep ignoring me, I'm not going to work with you. If that's the way you behave in business, I'm not going to work with you. There is a consequence. Now, sometimes, and I did it with people I work with, I found out about something, about someone that already crossed the boundary. Even though I didn't establish the boundary with them, they already crossed my boundary, so I could just use my conscious anger to say, okay, I'm done with this person. That's it. I cut them off my life. Sometimes you would need to go after the boundary, because what I see with people, sometimes someone already crossed their boundary and then they go to this person and try to explain to him about their boundary, about why it happened, and try to manipulate them to not do it again. So sometimes it doesn't work like this. But sometimes in relationship, if someone already crossed your boundary, maybe it's a boundary that you didn't even know you had yet. So maybe you need to give them a distinction about your boundary, or tell them about your boundary in a relationship. That can happen. So a lot of time what happened to us when we start to discover our boundaries, we also discover that we have a lot of stuck emotion from the past, a lot of unconscious anger. So if that's the case, you already know we ask for emotional healing processes. So I have a video about emotional healing process. If you want to know more, if you want to reach my team, we have a team called Coach in Circle. So let us know if you need any help with something like that, have more clarity about what are your boundaries and how you can use them. This is a video empowered by Thoughtware from Possibility Management. Thank you for watching. please share so other people can know about what they don't know about. Thank you. See you next time.
Hail, the gang's all here with their eyes wide open and their minds super clear.
Wow.